Good afternoon, everybody. So we are live, and today's live is going to be really short because we have a lot going on in the academy. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. Right. So we decided to come live today talking about the parenting advantage. You must have noticed that the current um, our current our current TIP um, current TIP annual conference is tagged the parenting advantage. So we're going to be talking more about the parenting advantage, going on and all of that. Thank you so much for joining me and for having me here. So every Tuesday we are here at 2 p.m. So like I said, this class is just going to be very short because already we're running a session for 3,000 plus parents. Trust me, trust me, that's a lot. But we know that we decided that, of course, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. we are here. Thank you for joining me. So are you going to be a disadvantage to your child, or are you going to be an advantage to your child? So having this conversation today is majorly about who you are, what advantage you're going to have, for your child. Why would how you parented your child even have any meaning at all? All right. Many times I have said over and again that who have raised you were a product of, parenting. We all are a product of parenting. So who raised you is going to be a big deal. All right. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay. So the conversation of the day today says, are you a parenting advantage to your child? Because you can actually be a disadvantage. Some of the children who become what they become eventually, are disadvantaged just because they were raised by a particular person. I've said before that we are a product of, every human being is a product of their parenting and their environment. We are all conditioned to become. We're conditioned to become who we become eventually. So who you become, what you become is actually very, very, very key. You can see that a lot of my fire, went into sex educate your child like a pro today. And if you are not, you're listening to me, you're a parent, you are not part of sex educate your child like a pro. I don't know what else. I don't know how else to explain the phenomenal thing that is happening at that sex educate your child like a pro. It's like, a breed of fire, right? We've been talking about sex educate your child like a pro for a long time. And this week, we're going through all of the live sessions at sex educate your child like a pro. This morning was something else. Yesterday was amazing. All right. And, we're also using this medium to tell you, you can still come and get the replays, but only today. Today is the last day you can pay a 2,000 naira to get the replays. After today, you get to pay 10,000 naira to get the replays because the replays are going to be sold for more. Yes. All right. And what you're going to get in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro is ask the parents in there. I'm sure there are parents who are in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro that are, already right in this live session. All right. It's like set apart. That's what Onyinye says. And I think I like that word. Sex educate, your child like a pro is like set apart. It's like another conversation altogether. Every parent, no parent should actually miss it. Some parents have reached out to me after today's session to say, where have I been? Where have you been? I didn't know that there was anything like this. All right. So today we're talking about, are you an advantage? Are you a parenting advantage to your child, or are you a parenting disadvantage to your child? We didn't make a lot of announcement for this class because we know that this class is going to be short, straight to the point. And because we're having the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, and of course, that's a whole lot for parents to assimilate. We have over 3,000 parents in that challenge. Trust me, that's not normal. All right. When you begin to have 3,000 plus in a course, you're leading a movement. You're no longer doing a parenting course. All right. And your last said, if you're not in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, you are on a long thing in parenting, a very long thing. All right. The 1.0 was nothing close to the 2.0, honestly. That's it. Knowledge evolves, knowledge changes. And that's why we are here. That's why we do what we do. That's why we are constantly learning so that we can give you an evolved, version of what it is that you must learn. So let me see you. Tell me where you are streaming live from. Let me see you. I'm streaming live from the capital city of Abuja. I'm streaming live from my home office. All right, it's a holiday in Nigeria. So, of course, I'm streaming live here. Okay, so, and tell me where you're streaming live. I'm in Abuja. Tell me where you're streaming live from. And to all our Muslims brethren, we say congratulations to you. Tell me where you're streaming live from. And if this is your first time, put a hashtag and say first time joining us. All right, Akure. Molola said, sex educate your child like a pro is something else. So I'm still drinking water after Coach Ebuka's session. We all are, including myself. All right. So we're having this live session, just to put just a few words because I want to assume that a lot of people were text educate your child like a pro. But I don't know what else to say. But hey, I know that quite a number of people are not didn't come for sex educate your child like a pro. And for people like my mom, who is already on the stream, who will at any point in time be live, all right, at 2 p.m. Let me put that on the screen. At 2 p.m. All right. So for people like this woman, I'll come live at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. All right. Because I know that there are quite a number of people who look forward to our sessions on Tuesday, like people like Grandma Nkechi, all the way from Owerri. Thank you, Mom, for always being here. And to all of you who are constantly always, following through on a Tuesday live and all of that. Favor says it's our first time streaming live. This is awesome. So let's go straight into it. Are you a parenting advantage to your child? When it comes to parenting, one of the things that I have said over and again is that you are either a parenting advantage or you are a parenting disadvantage. And let me tell you, you can become a parenting disadvantage to your child. Oh, yes. How do you ask me, how do you become a parenting disadvantage to your child? Now, parenting is about programming. We are all conditioned and we are all a product of our programs. Our environment, who we become, is about conditioning. The question will be, how are you conditioning your children to impact their world? What would be the parenting advantage your child would have because you were their parent? These are the questions that we're asking. Because conditioning in a thing, I was sharing the other day on my timeline, I shared about the Matthew effect. There's something called the Matthew effect. Those who have is a biblical, thing. It's not, I didn't write it. Those who have, it will be given more to them. Those who do not have, it shall be taken away from them. I need you to understand that in parenting is a product of what it is, all right, that you're giving. I heard a parent say something today. She said, you see, even before I was obsessed with her knowing how to navigate the hurdles of parenting, I realized that I needed a guide. I knew there is a lot to learn if I must parent and parent well. Not only to raise a wholesome child, but to raise a child who will fulfill purpose. So she said, so when I hear people say parenting doesn't have a manual, just understand your child and do what suits you and the child, I laugh because I know they are headed for problems. Thank you, Coach Wendy. You are truly the expectation itself when it comes to parenting. Coach Ebuka, the legs of tables you shattered today shall be reconstructed with better materials. You are fire itself. I am glad I joined this challenge, but I'm just wondering why I just got to know about Coach Wendy just now. Now, this was a review from a parent who attended the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. But the part that I'm actually really particular about in what she wrote is when people hear that there is no manual, when people say that there is no manual, all you don't just need to do is to understand your child. When I hear such things, I worry because there is actually a manual. It's either you're parenting with a manual that you know or with one that you don't know. Today when Coach Ebuka was talking about in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, and he was talking about, parenting with a manual, Coach Ebuka was, reviewing and talking about the structures talking about the things that happen in the home. And a lot of parents were ignorant of 80% of the things that he said. And that's truly worrisome. And, so a lot of parents are ignorant. And we understand that this ignorance is many times is not the fault of the parents. But you know what? Nobody is going to judge you because, judge you according to your ignorance or according to what you know. See, when it comes to failure in parenting, you will be judged. It doesn't matter whether you know or you don't know. It does not matter. So your advantage or your disadvantage, whatever it is that you give, that's what your child is going to come out with, because you cannot give what you do not have. So anytime we talk about parenting and we say intentional parenting means doing it in a way, that is different from the way that you know it. And I say that intentionality is what gives you a probable result. Probability gives you random results. So with probability, nothing is certain. And that's what most of us are doing. No certain conversation, nothing is certain, nothing, is being done and all of that. If you're still parenting and you're still thinking, what are they saying? All this parenting thing that they are talking about, is it not that? Is it that bad? Did our parents have to learn and all of that? Oh, well, you will be doing both you and your children a disservice. Because I say that parenting failure has its effect on both the parent and the child. And the first recipient of bad parenting is actually the parent. That's the first recipient. I was going to the hospital the other day and I saw a parent whose child was just, talking to him anyhow. He was actually quite old. And I looked back and I said, this is it. This is the receipt. You are the one that will receive it first. You are the first recipient of, wrong parenting. So whatever it is that, is going to come back to you. If you raise a child who can be held accountable, it comes back to you. If you raise a child who cannot fulfill proposals, it comes back to you. If you raise a child who is arrogant, it comes back to you. In fact, the test starts with you. We're hosting the TIP annual conference. And at the TIP annual conference, please, I want the team to share the link for the TIP annual conference. We've shared it. I would like you to register for the TIP annual conference. It is themed The Parenting Advantage. The TIP annual conference is free. But one of the things that you must understand is that the TIP annual conference, thank you so much for sharing that, Augustine. Please also share on the YouTube conversation. The TIP annual conference is one conference that you cannot but be there. It's something we've done for 5 years. This will be the 5th year that we're doing the TIP annual conference. And this year we're having the likes of Olakule Shoyin speak at that conference, the likes of Sam Obafemi, the likes of Taiwo Akinlami, the likes of Auntie Tima, Coach Ebuka is also going to be at the TIP annual conference. I've also shared, that on our YouTube, conversation, and you can find the link to register for that conference. Trust me, everything you do have a resultant effect. There's something that we give, all right, for everything you do. You want to remember that your parenting is not just about what works for you. What works for you might not necessarily be good for your child. That's why we keep saying that there is a manual. There is a template, all right? There is a template for parenting. If you're still following me, you can still hear me. Let me see you put a comment in the comment section, and let me see you tag a friend, family, all right? Let me see you put a comment in the comment section where we shared where you can register for the TIP annual conference, and I hope that you've been able to see the link. I'm going to be here to take your questions. I didn't come to take a lot of your time, because the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro is taking a lot of our energy in this period, preparing for that, dealing with 3,000 plus registered, participants. I think as at this morning, we'll have over 3,400 or thereabout. It's been amazing, all right? It's been amazing. It's been something else, okay? And that's one of the things that I keep saying, that knowledge is one of the things that puts you, on a different platform, all right? So it is very, very, very key, okay? So we need to actually begin to work on a lot of the things that we had believed, All right. There is a manual for parenting. Thank you, Faithful Otis. All right. If you have questions, please put it in the comment section. There is a manual for parenting. All right. We, the young people, are very much here. Florence, I see you. Inner Circle Parents, they will gather anywhere, we're speaking. And I do appreciate you guys. All right. So there is a manual. There's something you're doing. You're doing it from something. Sometimes you don't even know that there is a manual. You yourself, you're just parenting from the place of ignorance. And one of the worst things that will happen to this generation is raising children who are more knowledgeable than their parents. And it's a big deal. That's why we're having issues with gender confusion. That's why we're having issues with sex conversations. That's why we're having issues. Parents don't know what to say and how to say it. And it's a real challenge. Trust me, it's a real challenge. Parents are struggling. There's a lot of struggle out there. And part of what we are sharing with you is that you don't have to struggle in that manner. There is a solution. There is a way. And that's why the Bible says that there's a way to the city. Said the labor of the foolish wearied them because they do not know how to get to the city. There is a way to the city. And if you do not recognize the way to the city, you will not be able to get to the city. And we are here. God has appointed some of us for a time like this, for a generation like this. I tell everybody who cares to know, I am called for this generation, for parenting in this generation to change the tides of things. I don't know about any other coach that you know about me. When Diologi, I'm called in this generation for solution. I'm one of the saviors of the parenting family system that we have today in the world. And, I want to let you know that if you get the place, that's why the Bible says that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. All right. So, yeah, if you understand that part, then you understand how all of this plays a wholesome part in who we are raising and how we are raising children. What tools do you have? What do you have? Even some of us who say, you hear some parents, they tell you things like, oh, I'm only parenting from the Bible. The Bible is enough for me to parent. Then you make God a liar. When God said that he's going to raise saviors in generations. So it means that you're saying that God is not raising people. All right. So we need to understand that there's a knowledge, part of parenting that's also the God part of what God will do. The interesting thing is God will never parent for you. God is never going to parent for you. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Go and look back in the scriptures. All of the people who served God and lost their children. So your serving God does not automatically translate to you raising a giant. No, it doesn't. There's work for you to do. If you don't do that work, you will remain where it will be the same thing. So it doesn't automatically translate. I was reading the story of Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts was one of the biggest televangelists of our time. If you grew up in the 90s, you understand that Oral Roberts was one of the people who were televangelists. Today, Oral Roberts' children lead the gay communities in Los Angeles. His grandchildren, his son was indicted for fraud in the Robert University. So it's not because it's Oral Robert, then automatically his children will be well raised. It's a lie. It's not going to happen. The fact that you're a pastor does not even, translate. It doesn't even translate to you becoming whatever, to your children actually being well raised. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You can be a pastor and you still lose your children, because you don't know what it takes. When people tell me, oh, but my pastor said, I tell them, I say, your pastor is not called to teach you parenting. I say it boldly. And I've said that to my pastor myself. Say it boldly. All right. So, that's why the Bible talks about the ministry and the, different people who are called for different things. Some people are called for apostles. Some people are called, for ministers. Some people are called to pastor. And we must understand that, these different aspects, in our lives, there must be a direction. There must be a direction. So if you leave things to chance, believe you me, it's going to remain just by chance. So don't tell me I'm praying for my children and that's enough. Don't get me wrong. Prayer is beautifully perfect. But let me even tell you, prayer is not what you do and take pride in. Oh, I'm praying for my children. It is a responsibility. So parents, their children get into pornography, they come to me and they ask questions. Like, coach, what has happened to my child and all of that. I've been praying, but yet it happened. Prayer is a responsibility. Sometimes I ask a parent, so your child did this. What has been happening to your child? What have you done about it? The parent tells me, I've just been praying. I don't want to say some things, this is a public forum. I'm sure the inner circle parents understand what I might have said next. But I'll leave it at that. But prayer is a responsibility. So it's not something to brag, just like you saying, I'm feeding my children. When they ask you, so what have you been doing? You say, I've been giving my child food. Prayer is your responsibility. It's a responsibility. It's not, do you brag about giving your children food? No. So I'm praying for my child. It's not a bragging right. So you can pray for your child and your child will not be parented. And your child will not be parented. I'm telling you, truth from the word of God. Your child will not be parented even after you pray. So after you pray, there's work to be done. There's work to be done. So don't go the way of, the fathers in the faith who have gone. That's why you hear people say, oh, pastors' children are always very spoiled. They always go wayward. No, it's simple. The pastors don't know what it takes to actually raise a child who can thrive. Because it's a learning. That you are a pastor doesn't automatically translate. That you read your Bible doesn't automatically translate. That you know what it is. There's a learning. There's a knowledge. That's why the same scripture said that my people perish for lack of knowledge. And there's another part to that conversation. You can have knowledge and still perish. Unpracticalized knowledge you will still be in the same position of perishing. So you can listen to me forever and still perish because you're not practically delivering. There's no accountability system that delivers for you. You must understand that parenting is something that you do intentionally. You must understand that parenting is something that you pay attention to. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. Parenting knowledge is not a nice to have, it's a must have. You must have parenting knowledge to raise a child. So when you tell me all you need to do is to understand your child, there's no manual anywhere, they lied to you. There is a parenting manual. Parenting has a manual. Whoever told you there's no manual lied to you. Parenting, there's a manual to it. There's a manual to it. So you need to understand where that transcends to. All right? Oh yes, Pali, you can be knowledgeable and still perish. So you must be practical to deliver. You might know that something is wrong and you still don't deliver on it. Part of what we do in the inner circle program is that we get parents to accountably do things. We don't allow you to do what you like. No. That's not parenting. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. It's a must have. It's not like, oh, I just, when you attend courses, it's just an extra. No, it's not an extra. It's a foundation. Parenting knowledge is a foundation. And I'm going to tell you this story from, biblical principles. I like to teach with Bible stories, and, they're so deep if you can actually really understand them. I've shared for parents who have listened to me for a while. I was talking about, the parable of the 10 virgins. You know that in the parable of the 10 virgins, it was shared that there were 10 virgins who went to go and wait for the bridegroom. Even when people talk, they say the foolish virgins were foolish because they were not prepared. That's a lie. The foolish virgins were as prepared as the wise virgins. But I will tell you what happened. They were prepared. They went there to wait. And when they got there, they realized, team, Augustine, please help me share Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. For those of us who haven't registered and who are not in that, class, you should get into that class. I don't even think we should be having a conversation on it. If you don't get to pay today, the 2,000 naira, you get to pay for replays for 10K and tell me, trust me, we will sell it at 10K and a lot of people will actually buy it. It's worth all the dime. All right, so let me go on. And then when they now got there, they had to wait extra time. That extra time was not factored in. All right, that extra time was not factored in. So when the foolish virgins waited, their oil finished. The wise virgins were prepared. The wise virgins were not just prepared, they had extra. You know what parenting advantage is? The extra that your child should have. The question will be, does your child have the extra? Under normal circumstances, your child will become normal and it's fine. So when parents come to me and talk about, raising children, I say that there are two different kinds of raising children. Is that you're raising children with the norm, or you're raising kings who are exceptional? Nobody raises a king without a template. There is a template to raising kings. Ask anywhere. There is a how kings are raised. So when you look at that story, when they got to the point where they couldn't sustain it, they had money, but they didn't have extra oil. They were not skilled. And when the ones who were wise came, they topped their oil and they moved. Then the ones who were not wise, they asked the ones who were wise. They already told them, no, I can't give you. All right. So, and then he moves straight into the room and told them to go and buy. They had money, but they couldn't buy. Now, let me share this. There will be a time on your journey as a parent. You might have the money, but it will not be sufficient because you have lost time. Time is the currency of destiny. By the time they went to go and buy that oil, they couldn't succeed. They went, by the time they came back, the door was shut. In your journey as a parent, there is a time factor. There are things that you miss, you lose the child. So, all these, my child is just 1 year. I've not said that there's a time factor. If you don't start early, you might actually miss things you cannot repair. There is a time factor. Time is the currency of destiny. If you don't understand this, sit back again and assimilate it. They lost time. That's what the foolish virgins didn't have playing for them. Lost time. The wise virgins bought time with skills. Chances are, all of us are going to be running with the same time. But that's why the Bible says that time and chance happened to them all. Time and chance happened to them all. There is a time factor in your parenting. There's a time you will teach some things, it will never sink in. Because the time that you were supposed to teach it, you actually missed it. Now, let me bring it to psychology. I have a medical background. Let me bring it to medicine, science. There's something called the window of learning. I was sharing with the parents, all right? I was sharing with the parents with a parent in one of our courses, and I said to them that trust is learned from 0 to 2. If you miss it as a window of opportunity to teach, your child doesn't learn how to trust. That's why a lot of us actually have issues with that. Your child doesn't learn how to trust. Another window opens during the puberty time. Now, at that puberty time, that's when parents now start fighting their children. So they never actually get to learn it. So there is a time factor. Time and chance happens to them all. Chance are the opportunities that you're going to get. Time is the learnings, what you put in, the skills that you're learning. That is the time. There is time, there is chance. Preparation is time. Chance is opportunity. And don't get it twisted. The Bible says it happens to them all. The sinner, the person who is righteous, the wicked, the evil, they are biblical principles. So if a parent who is unrighteous understands time and chance, they will raise an exceptional child. It has nothing to do with it. So if a parent who is righteous does not understand time and chance, you can still raise an idiot. So righteousness is not just what it is. That's the only attribute of God. So there is time and there is chance. The question will be, are you prepared when the chance comes, which is opportunity for you to actually position yourself to take, this of what is happening? I tell everybody who cares to listen, God is a God of principles. God is a God of systems. He doesn't bypass it. If God was going to bypass principles, he would have raised the children of David for him. God loved David so much. God could have raised the children of David himself, but God still didn't. It teaches you something. God is principled. The same rain that will fall on the good will fall on the bad. I just want us to understand that there's something there are principles. Parenting is about principles. Why do you think that that evil people still have the ability to make money? You're wondering, me, I've been very good, I've been righteous, I can't prosper, but evil people are prospering. It's simple principles. An evil person can apply the same principles and make progress. It's not about, you can be righteous and you don't know how to apply this same principle, you will still perish. That's how God works. That's why there are spiritual laws. And that's why even the people who are not righteous, who don't know Christ, uses the spiritual laws to excel. You can excel. So as a Christian, if you do not know how to apply the spiritual laws, you will not excel. You will pray forever, nothing will happen. Take a look at our country, for instance. No matter how much you pray for elections to, go a certain way and all of that, you need to do the work. There is a work to be done. The same thing in parenting. No matter how much you pray. I remember a parent came to me and said the child had been doing pornography for 2 years. He didn't know. When he found out, he came to me to come and, both parents, both she and the wife or the spouse, came to me to come and talk about, having this, talking about, having what to do with the child and all of that. For those who are asking for sex educate, the details are on my screen. Having, have conversations with the children and what it is that they need to do, blah, blah, blah. I know when they came, I asked them, so what happened? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why did this happen? And the woman said to me, Coach, I've heard you talk about all of this severally, but I've never believed it can happen to me because I know that it can never happen to me. Anytime you said it, I'll say, God forbid this. All these are for parents who don't pray. How do you think that the people that are learning are the ones who don't pray? I don't even know where that comes from. Of course, by the time we started, going through, this guy was addicted to pornography chronically. This guy was only 10. So that means he started doing porn at age 8. But the mother is a prayer warrior. Why? Because she missed the principles, which are the basics. There are principles to apply, whether in the kingdom or outside of the kingdom. There are principles to apply. You miss it, you miss out. If you miss it, you miss out. I have seen quite a number of parents. So in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, parents brought in their schools teachers to be part of Sex Educate Your Child. I brought in my own children's school teachers, house masters, house mistress, and all of them to actually come and be part of Sex Educate because I recognize that there is something called the power of circles, the power of authority, and the power of influence. And when I looked at it, yes, I'm a coach. I'm the biggest coach in Africa. This one, that one. It's expected that, I'm supposed to just how about the people that my children are going to be around? My friends. That's why every single one of my friends is in the academy. As we're doing Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, every single one of my friends is in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. I don't play all those kind of play because I understand the power of influence. I understand the power of circles. I understand the power of authority in the life of my children. So it's not about me only. So I see parents, you attend classes, you don't even bother. You just say, I beg, I have told them they don't want to go. Whatever they want to do is their business. It's not their business. It's your business too. It's the business of you and your child. Every single one of you. I've seen quite a number of parents, in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. It's just 2 modules. Parents can't sleep well. How do you want to sleep well? A lot of us don't know anything that has been said there. You can't sleep well. How? The kind of knowledge we share in the academy, you can't be normal. That I know. I've always known that. We're watching this now. Quite a number of parents are watching me. Almost 100 parents are watching me. And have you tagged any friend? Have you shared this link on your timeline? Somewhere in our head, we want to let me just learn alone. Is anybody's business. I have seen people who have come to say thank you to me, to say, this person is the one that introduced me to you. I am so grateful. But if, like Ebuka said this morning at Sex Educate Your Child Like, bro, if it was Bob Risky now that was online, and where he would have been sharing. You follow Bob Risky, you follow people what you don't want yet. You're watching it. All right. So it's a lot. There's a lot of conversation around parenting. And it's not something you're doing on your own. It's something you're going to carry everybody around. When we started earlier, I told you that my mom was here. Because I know that my mother is going to have chances of parenting my children. So my mother watches, attends classes, and learns. Because I understand that she's part of the authority figure in the life of my children. She is. You can't take that away from her. So if you're watching, you're not inviting your friends, you're not telling them what's happening. The truth is, it's going to backfire. I'm not saying it because I'm the one speaking. I know it will backfire. I've seen it, happen over and again. We want to begin to take seriously the things we're doing in the lives of our children. We want to begin to take seriously. I say that parenting is war. How you're fighting, your result will depend on how you're fighting. You are either fighting intentionally or you're fighting honestly, or you're fighting casually. So the choice is yours. So I'm calling you to tag your friends, share links with them, invite them to listen to the truth about some of these conversations, because that is what we pay, both you. So when I come live, I'm not coming live just for you. I'm coming live because there are people in the circle of influence of my child who would need to listen to me and get it right. And that's one of the things that matters to me. It is very important to me. So I take it like it's part of my process. So let's go on. Make sure you've tagged someone. Make sure you've shared this link on your social media. You can share. I'm live on my personal platform. You can actually share. We have almost 100 people watching. And I really appreciate the people who are constantly sharing and all of that. There's a lot going on. And if we keep quiet, anything we keep, we'll make it chance. So it's just by chance. It will continue to be by chance. It will continue to be by chance. I've talked about the Parenting Advantage team TIP conference that we're having. That Parenting Advantage, all right? That Parenting Advantage conference starts the last week in July. We're going to be having 31 coaches from all over the world. It's free. See, part of why I do some of these things, like I told you, setting up a free conference from 31 coaches, I don't want to tell you what it cost us and what is still going to cost us as an academy. But we're willing to make sure that this message goes out there. All right. So it is very, very, very key that will begin to intentionally process a lot of the things that we're doing. Thank you so much. When nobody comes across your teaching and remains normal, there's always that where have I been all these years and didn't get to hear this feeling. God replenish you, ma. Thank you so much for that words, good words that you've spoken. All right. So join the free classes, join the paid classes. There are some things that you will never hear for free. I've been saying it for a long time. There are things you will not hear for free. There are some things that even the apostle, Jesus told the apostle that he didn't tell every other person. That's why we actually have the inner circle. When people ask me, they will say, oh, the inner circle. And all of I said, I would tell them, I said, there are things that even Jesus told his own apostles that he didn't tell the crowd. Because if he had told the crowd wouldn't understand it. There are things I will never say in this public stream. Never, ever. But I will say it and I explain it and teach it. And you still need to hear them. At Sex Educate Your Child, for like a pool, for instance, we've taught things that we would never have taught anywhere. And we say that TIP Academy is the Harvard of parenting. Trust me, that's what it is. There's nothing we teach in the academy that is normal. All right. And it's not even something that you're going to get on Google. You put on Google, as I want to search about parenting advantage. What he said, you won't find it. You will not find it. All right. If you see it mentioned, you're going to see it meaning something else. You won't find it. I'm going to teach the parents in the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro tomorrow on the 10 self-concept of sex conversations. It's not anywhere. It's a TIP Academy product solely. All right. That's the same reason you don't see Harvard curriculum out there. You can't. Our curriculum is not out there. All right. So what you're hearing, if you're just listening to me, just being chat. I've always said that parenting is not about tips and hacks. Parenting is about a process. Until you get that process, then you will find out that you will not be able to actually make any difference. There are a lot of things that we would like to share with you. And part of where we're going to be sharing those, the conference is one place we share a lot of deep things. The Sex Educate Challenge is one of the deep places we shared a lot of deep things. There's no time we don't talk rubbish. There's no time I come online that you're not going to take something away, and begin to run with your journey. In fact, when you come into the academy, for instance, we'll run an annual, parenting academy. We're the only ones that run a standard stable academy in parent in Africa for now. We are the only ones. All right. The TIP Academy, we are the only ones for parents. And, in that parenting system, all right, in that parenting system that we run, we put in quite a lot that embodies everything that a parent will need to structure. And for every day you wake up, there's something new. You get into the inner circle, you get transformed a whole 360 degrees. We are not bragging. That is the truth. We have earned the bragging right in the past 3 years. And every year, even the parents who have been in the academy for 3 years, every year when they get back into the academy, they're like, it's as if coach went somewhere. That's what happens when you are called to deliver for a generation. We're not speaking some of these things ordinarily. Like my one of my good friend, Pastor Osiri, will say, as Osiri will always say, and that some things are learned, some things are caught, some things are taught. There's so many things that I teach that are caught, they are not taught. So that's when you understand. That's when you know who is called, who is just making noise, who is just. We've done this for 5 years, and yet people have listened to us for 5 years, and there is no stopping. There's no time where you think, I've listened to everything this person has to say. No, that's when you know that someone is called to deliver on a mandate. You can't get tired. You will listen to me for 50 years and you're going to see fresh insight come on you. That's the difference. All right. So I urge you today, take your parenting journey seriously. If you have questions, you can put for me right in the comment section. Take your parenting journey seriously. It's no longer business as usual. It's no longer I know what I'm doing. No, you don't. I make bold to say it. Or come to me and I'll prove you that you don't. All right. Many of the times we actually think that we do. There are so many things that we're doing so wrongly. I've said it, I've preached it. Many of the times we think that we have arrived, we know everything. Even me, I can't say that. But I see quite a number of parents who say that. I'm like, me, with all the certifications and all the degrees and all the masters that I have when it comes to this subject, I cannot come out and say I know everything. It's not even possible. So you don't. And then you need to remember that parenting changes per minute, per second. Every minute there's something happening. There's a change. Today, when Ebuka was teaching about porn conversation, a parent reached out to me and said, I've always taught the pants rule and all of that. Parents have been teaching private part and public part. At Sex Educate, we broke it down for them. Why every part of the child's body is private. Every single part. And meanwhile, that's what they've taught. That's what is out there. That's what you see. That's what you see. But that's not the right teaching. Because it's going to disempower the child. Anything that disempowers a child when it comes to sex conversation isn't the right conversation to be having with your child. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got value. Thank you so much. And yes, Don Lucci, I see you. Parenting is all about a process. It's not about tips and hacks. You must commit to a process. There's nothing like, oh, I just heard that coach that day. I now want to hear another coach the other day. No, it doesn't work. Trust me. I'm not here to bobo you, right? I'm not here to tell you, oh, there's something that you need to do. No. It's not. That's not it. You need to commit to a process. If you're not committed to a process, you see, when parents come to me with a fire brigade approach, hey, coach, I need to call you now. Parenting is not an emergency. If you make it an emergency, you miss it. Parenting is actually a process. So when you come with all those emergency calls, people come in the middle of the night, people come in the middle of 3 a.m. telling me, oh, I just got my child doing pornography. There's nothing I can do for you at that time. I've said it over and again. I don't do fire brigade approach. Anybody who tells you that they have a magic wand to solve your problem when you get into problem in parenting, they lied to you. I say it again. Any coach, the coach should come and meet me. There's no quick fix. We can't, it's not an emergency. We can't quick fix it. You have 18 years to be a parent. Parenting isn't an emergency. So you can't quick fix anything. Nothing. There's nothing to quick fix. And if you're hoping there's going to be a quick fix, all right, there's going to be something that you want to forget it. It doesn't exist. So when parents come to me, all right, and they're going to come to me and tell me all those things. Oh, coach, I need you to help me now. I tell them I don't have a now magic wand. I don't get them. If you're not committed to the process, I cannot help you. I cannot help you. I must commend everybody who is, taking this parenting journey seriously. Thank you, Uju. Says parenting is not an emergency if you trade with the currency of time effectively. That's it. It's not an emergency because time is the currency of destiny. The question will be, what are you doing with the time? The fact remains that time changes nothing. It is what you do with time that changes everything. The question I'm leaving with you will be today, what are you doing with time? How are you changing the tides of your generation? There's something called the 5-generational rule. And the rule talks about what will become of you when your generation is traced 100 years, from today. What advantage will you be offering your child? I urge every one of you to register for TIP annual conference. Share it with your family and friends. Make sure that they are at that conference. Setting up a conference with 31 coaches from India, from Canada, from the US, from everywhere. We're bringing Bridget Miller. Bridget Miller is an author of one of the most biggest books of parenting in the US. You don't even want to know how we got Bridget Miller to be on this, on this conference. It's free, but just make an effort to register so that you can have access. Parenting is seed time and harvest time. It is what you plant, you will reap. You cannot plant cassava and reap corn. You cannot plant corn and reap what's it called? Cassava or mango. It's what you plant, you reap. Parenting is seed time and harvest. The harvest is it doesn't end. That's why there's no time for the harvest. What you sow is what you will reap. And when you're reaping for parenting, reap it forever. Whatever you reap, you start reaping it by the time your children start turning 12. You start and you reap it forever. Forever. You're going to reap peace of mind, you reap it forever. You're going to reap your children. You reap the effective parenting. I'm reaping it from now. I've raised a foster daughter. Funaya is here. All right, she's watching me live. All right, she's married, and we also have children who are in secondary school. Effective parenting. You reap it from now. It's not later. It's not later at all. You reap it from now, and I'm reaping the consequences. And the harvest is forever. Ineffective parenting, you reap the from now, and the harvest is forever. That's why you're going to have 40-year-old who will sit on the lap of their parents and sit in the home and be fed. It is part of it. That's part of the conversation. Again, remember, parenting is not an emergency. There is work to be done. And the principles of the kingdom covers everybody, both the good and the bad. Time and chance will happen to every one of us. Time is the learnings, the things that you're putting in, the skills that you're putting in, the things that you're learning, the knowledge that you're gathering. Chance will be the opportunities that come with it. When the opportunities come, will you be prepared? Time is preparation. Chance are the opportunities. Thank you so much. Thank you. Somebody asked me a question. One reason I'm still on the fence is that my parents raised exceptional children. All four of us have largely turned out well. They believed in spanking. You don't seem, and I wonder if there are adults who have turned out very well without spanking. My 2-year-old is strong-willed. That a simple no does not deter him from doing something. Many of us think we turned out well. And turning out well for us, let me define it. And I'm sure when you say largely turned out well, means they're doing a good job, they have money or something, or they are, in the society doing well. They are not a burden to your parents and all of that. Our definition of turning out well in itself is where the problem is. We have so many adults who were raised in our generation who are lost totally. And I'm sure that if you really connect, all right, your parents did what was available to them. That they did what was available to them, and they had the result that they had. Trust me, you cannot use that manual. My mom is watching me here. There are errors. My siblings and I are what you will say turned out well if you look at it. But my mom knows that there are things that they've done that I wouldn't repeat because I have seen it through the eyes of knowledge. It's bigger than, we all turned out well, they flogged us. That's not the conversation. Turning out well means what? Means what? And maybe when you get into a private session with me, I will dissect your turning out well. And you realize that it's not really turning out well, okay? But for your 2-year-old, you can raise a child and you don't have to be hitting your child. Your children are not cows. I just told you that I have an adult child and I have children who are teenagers. They're not cows. I don't have cane. I've never owned one in my life. You don't need it. But there is something. You need to learn what else to do. Parents think that when we say you need to do this right, we're saying just leave your children to just be like that. If there is somebody who understands and, craft a system for responsibility, that person will be me. My children started cooking from age 8. By 10, they were manning my kitchen. Today, when the twins are around, I cook nothing. And I mean when we have visitors. My daughter can cook food for 20, 30 people. She's 12, going to be 13. So we think that discipline is about beating children to conform. Obedience is not all there is in raising children. There's a place of skill. There's a place of skill. If you raise a child who just only obeys you, there's actually a problem with that system. I'll tell you why. Because you're not right all the time. So if your child is going to obey you all the time, there's a snag to it. Like I said, my foster daughter is listening to me. She hasn't obeyed me all the time, but she has honored. They're not the same. And these are some of the conversations that, we're having today. Obedience is not all there is. If you ask me, do you want to raise an obedient child? I tell you, no. I want to raise a child who understands honor as a skill. Honor is the higher conversation to obedience. You're still at the level of teaching obedience. You still don't get it. They're still teaching, oh, you need to, you need to be here, you need to be there, and all of that. My daughter debunked me. She asked me, are you saying that my eyes and hands are private? I affirmed, yes, it's your body, it's private to you. She said, I've not heard this before. Thank you for changing our narrative in parenting. Oh, yes. When I taught that subject, it came to parents like, what are you saying? Our parents didn't teach us much on sex conversation. But yet we want to parent with the template that they've given us. Their template worked in their time. That's what they had access to. That template you can't fit it into the system we have today. Our parents didn't have to struggle with gender confusion. Today we're having gender. If I come to your house, it might shock you. I might be talking to your children and you see that your children are confused whether they are boy or girl. Many of us don't know what is happening. Many of us don't know what's happening. There's actually a lot more, happening. So we need to pay attention, and we need to even, so stop sitting on the fence. The parents who said I've been sitting on the fence. Stop sitting on the fence. You're parenting with your parents' manual. That manual might not fit into the structure of today's world. I'm not saying that they've done anything wrong. Like I said, my parents also raised exceptional children. But again, I'm telling you that there's a difference between raising children who will impact their world and children who just grow up. No, raising children who just grow up is different. You just raise the child and child is just growing. No, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about raising children who are impactful. And when you say your siblings and you are exceptionally, what impact have they brought to the world? Parenting is about raising, it's about, building people who would impact their world. Impact doesn't even mean, like I'm speaking here. No, there are different, levels of impact. What impact are they making? We think that once we can make money, feed our family, husband, wife, children, travel here and there, then of course you're doing well. Come on, guys. All right, so that's a conversation for another day. But thank you so much for being here. Somebody said parenting is a complex activity. Is it? Parenting is just an intentional activity. You need to be intentional about parenting. Once you're intentional, you are able to actually put a lot of things in perspective and structure it. Parenting is planned. If you parent without plan, you are going to be going back and forth, not knowing what it is exactly you need to do. So if you're sitting on the fence and thinking, I just want to do it the way that I've seen it done, you will be limited in that narrative. Because even today, my parents who have raised children in the 90s, today my mom is learning every day and unlearning a lot of things. So that's why she's here listening to me. All right, learning a lot of things. She's learning, she's unlearning. And she said to me the other day, I had a conversation with her. She said, there are some mistakes that I made when I listened to you. I wish I knew this better. That's my mother. And my mother raised me. I'm an impactful person, and my siblings as well. So don't sit in that place, all right? Don't sit in that place where you think, oh, because my parents did it and, it's perfect. Oh, I just think, don't sit there. It will shock you, the things you will find out. I have worked with thousands of parents, so I know what I'm talking about, okay? And myself, all right? There's some of the things, if you had met me a few years ago, I will tell you that rushing a child through school was good. And, I came out, I became okay, I was fine. I came out tops of my class. So will you say that I was disadvantaged going to school early? By 20, I was out of university. Will you say I was disadvantaged? A lot of people will say, no, nothing happened to her, but that's a lie. Until I went into a system and understood how the things happened to me. It didn't happen to me because I thought that it was all about, oh, you came out tops of your class, you now made money. You think that's what it's about. That's not what it's about. It's an error that my parents made. And my parents have been able to recognize that in hindsight, they shouldn't have done that. Because for them, it was all about, going to school passing. Like I said, I came out tops of my class in uni. I came out tops of my class. And yet, I'm telling you that rushing a child through school is an error. It's an error. But in retrospect, years back, it's like a bragging right. But it's not. Ignorance makes you brag with things that don't make sense. And when you do it, so, that's why people can say things like, oh, they beat us and we turned out okay and all of that. It's ignorance. It's part of it. And until you go deep into some of these conversations, trust me, you will never be able to actually understand exactly what we're talking about. Thank you so much for joining me. It's already 3:00 and I'm going to be there. I actually said I was going to be here for 30 minutes and look at me. Thank you so much. And do have an amazing time. Remember to register for Check Text Educate Your Child Like a Pro. It's only 2K today. It's a good place to start. Start from there. Start listening. Start reviewing the things that you're currently doing. You might think that what you're doing is working. Trust me, it ain't working sometimes. I hope you got value, and I hope that you understand that it's not about what works for you. If you had asked me those many years, I would have said, it worked for me. Going to school early worked for me. Nah, it's about what is good for the child. So what works for you is not what we are talking about. What works for the child? What works? What principles work? All right? And it is very, very important. Thank you again for joining me. And I hope that you learned a lot. And if you look at the screen, you're going to see how you can join Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. And you also look at the description of this video. You'll see the details to join the TIP annual conference. You want to be there. You want to be there. If you think I deliver value, then you want to be there to see. All right. It is very, very important. Thank you, value added parenting. Parenting from the inner circle is a different conversation altogether. So let's not even go there. All right. When you're raising children who are, who actually understand impact, not just obeying you. Obedience is like an entry level when it comes to parenting. You're just at the entry level. All right. It's not at the entry. You're just at the entry level. And the entry level is just you, being at the edge. When you now get into the real game, you understand that obedience is like the lowest part of this conversation. And, that's, very key for us to know. See you again on Tuesday. And for those of you who are in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow, where I'll be teaching you the 10 self-concept of sex conversations. You want to be there. Like I said, that 10th concept is something that will change your narrative on parenting and change everything you've ever known. Thank you again and again, and see you tomorrow.